Welcome back to Rochester Living with Mark Siwiec and Corey James Moran, brought to you by Elysian Homes by Mark Siwiec and Associates. This is episode 207. Mark, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. I mean, we've got a fantastic guest
Yes.
in the studio with us right now. Have we had a chef on? This might be a first.
I think this is a first. Yeah. But if we're going to have a chef on as our first guest, no better choice than Cruz.
Absolutely. So thank you for joining us. A lot of, I want to talk about your story. I mean, it's fascinating. And just the come up that we've had is really incredible. But first, we've got to dive into a little real estate.
All right, let's do it.
Should we get to numbers?
Yeah, please, yeah.
They're going down.
All right, wait. When you say down, we're not talking interest rates.
No.
No. Okay.
No. Single family active listings in Monroe County last week were at 597.
Okay.
We're down to 547.
Oh my God.
6 county region, we were at 1,062 last week. We're now at 1,034. The under contract and pending number also going down, Mark. Is this the first time we've seen both those stats going down at the same time?
This is worrisome.
Usually it's one or the other, but yeah.
Yep.
So last week under contract and pending in Monroe County, we're at 1,249. We're down to 1,233. And for the 6 county region, 1,841 last week, down to 1,833. I mean, it's quiet right now.
It's really. I've not seen this little activity since, and frankly, an accompanying concern and worry. I haven't seen it this quiet in the month of August since the Great Recession back in 2008, 2009.
Wow. Okay. That's saying something.
Yeah. This is, and agents are just running around, their hair on fire, just worried about what's playing out.
Well, even I don't know. At least in my experience, even the buyers that are active are so hesitant right now. Mm-hmm. There's been a couple of opportunities that I think 6 months ago these buyers would have immediately jumped at.
Yeah.
But now, obviously, the dynamics of the market have shifted a little bit.
Yep.
And they're just kind of, I don't know if they're waiting for the perfect situation or it's just a hesitancy to pull the trigger on it. I can't really put my finger on it, but yeah, it's odd.
And what's really odd is, July was really quiet. The first 2 weeks of August, really quiet. So a couple of thoughts. One, I'm still hopeful that there's going to be some resurgence in activity post Labor Day. Let's keep our fingers crossed. But what's really odd is we kept hoping and waiting for A, more inventory, and B, interest rates to come down. And when those two things came together, everything's going to be fine. Buyers, activity was going to... Both of those things have happened.
Yeah.
And crickets, just nothing playing out there. So
it is confusing. Maybe we'll get a boost. I guess the good news here is the CPI number came out, and it was actually below expectations. So it sat at 2.7.
Below expectations if you're looking at
the worst case scenario.
If you're looking at CPI, but when you strip out
the core,
when you're looking at core, and you're
gonna get negative on me.
What's that?
Gonna get negative on me?
I wouldn't be me, right? So here we go. When you're looking at just core inflation, when you're stripping out food, when you're stripping out fuel, it actually went up, and okay, so it only went up about 1/10 of a point above expectations. But you add that to the point or two, that it rose above expectations last month and the month before, and so we're definitely starting to see that inflation is slowly starting to take hold. But listen, all the big tariff increases, the imposition of tariffs, that never actually took place until this past Thursday. And we still have these large industries that have imported all this, all these products from overseas, China in particular. As we've discussed a few times, those warehouses have until now been able to circumvent any imposition of tariffs that may have been impacting the market. Well, slowly, those inventory levels are decreasing, and those large companies now are going to have to start to import again, and they're going to have to import with the imposition of taxes, with the tariffs imposed. That's ugly. That's really, I really do think we're just a couple of months away from really starting to see the rate of inflation increase. What are your thoughts?
That's definitely more negative than I hoped, but there's obviously truth to it as well.
Do you think I'm wrong? You want to
No, because the tariff thing is the X factor, right? Because we don't quite know, yet what the true impact is going to be, and it's going to take a little time till we actually see it.
Right.
I mean, were you expecting, going back to just that main number, that 2.7, were you expecting it to be higher?
I actually was.
Okay.
I was.
I'm looking for a glimmer of hope.
Yes. So you've got one, yeah. And one of the things that really is amazing about this president is that he continually, throughout his entire career, it's remarkable. This guy defies expectations, and we're supposed to be seeing, interest rates. The rate of inflation increasing rather dramatically right now. But it's rather tempting. But then again, so CPI is released yesterday. We do have, over the course of the past week, 2 new individuals appointed to pretty important positions in the federal government. One, the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Freshly open Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Yes, exactly. So a week ago Friday, the chief of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, she was fired. A.J. Antoni has now been instilled, and this is somebody who's an acolyte and a disciple, a descendant of all that plays out at the Heritage Foundation. Very, very conservative political organization, who even conservatives are saying, listen, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. So this isn't the left, screaming. This isn't AOC. This is, across the board, let alone economists and financial pundits. They're all saying that this is a guy who is not qualified for the job. There's also a great deal of concern that this is somebody who has made a history of basically just saying that he agrees with whatever it is that's emanating from the president's mouth. So it's
Can't imagine he got the job.
Yes. So this is a little bit worrisome.
Yeah.
And then secondly, there was a recent resignation from the board of the Federal Reserve. And Steve, is it Moran or is it Moron?
Don't go there.
I'm not quite sure which it is. I could be wrong in that latter pronunciation. But this is somebody who has actually written position papers, white papers, policy papers over the course of the past few years, stating that the independence of the Federal Reserve should no longer exist, that the executive of this country, the President of the United States, should actually exert political pressure, governmental pressure on the policies of the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is almost... Well, the Federal Reserve at this point in time is more than 100 years old. Created back in 1913 under Woodrow Wilson, and it was created specifically by mandate of the Congress so that the president was shielded from exerting, because every president is going to want the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates
Sure.
in order for the economy, in order for consumers to feel good about the economy, and then thereby more or less increasing their possibility of being reelected. That's why the independence was set aside as it was. And this is somebody who's been appointed to the Federal Reserve and says, no, we don't need that independence.
So everything's going great, is what you're saying?
Yeah, should I have another cup of coffee?
You thought a lot about this. Talking about the Federal Reserve, the expectation now is that we can almost guarantee a rate cut in September.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Is that good news? Bad news? Good news?
We've been hoping. It's been December since the last rate cut. We were hoping that we're going to be seeing rate cuts throughout this year. It is good news. But then again, there are so many other factors in play here. What's going on with employment numbers? What's going on with inflation?
Sure.
What's going on?
It does seem like employment's starting to finally cool, which is something that has been odd throughout this entire.
Cool, which is great, but seizing.
Yeah.
And again, we got. But then again, what are the numbers? A revision of 258,000 jobs in the months of May and June, and then only a paltry 73,000 created in the month of July. What does the Bureau of Labor Statistics? Can we even count on the veracity of the numbers that are going to be coming out of the next report? God knows.
Yeah.
It's just it's. Pardon me.
To be honest, I've been
mess.
skeptical of those numbers for the past 2 years.
So, yeah.
All right. Anything else, real estate wise?
I think that's
everything's
enough.
awesome.
Like, get us out of here.
Everything's great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You extract me from the quagmire.
Let's jump to our guest. Would you like to do your gushing, blushing intro?
My gushing. Okay, so I've known Cruz for 7, 8, 10 years. 10 years. Let's call it 10 years. Let me set the stage. Duffy and I go to a restaurant on Monroe Avenue, probably about 10 years ago, and we hear great things about the food. Oh, I guess it was more like 6 years ago. Yeah, we hear great things about the food, but it's in a small joint on Monroe Avenue. right near, not Griffith, Marshall Street, right downtown. And we walk in, and there are only like 16 seats at a counter. So cafeteria, like a Woolworth kind of style eating. And we see one guy behind the line, and he's like, come on in. And so we walk in, we sit down. And then this guy like takes and he like stirs something in a saute pan. Meanwhile, with his left hand, he's pouring out wine for some people. He's handing a menu to other people. He's taking an order from somebody else. He's washing the dishes, and he's engaged in really colorful banter with everybody who's sitting at the table. We were completely blown away. Like,
How many
okay.
arms do you have? Two? I'm counting two.
Just
Okay.
two.
Okay.
All right, so let's see what this is going to taste like, because this guy's like doing way too much back there. The food was spectacular. And that was the first time that we met our good friend, Cruz Nieves. How's that for a lead-in,
I know.
huh?
Thank you for that. Yeah, that was back in the day when I opened Rella, and I think you
Yeah.
were one of the very first people to kind of like come in within even a month of us being open. And yeah, we did everything there, which is something that, it takes a skill. I only have two hands, but it's we call it like a theatric eating,
Okay, yeah.
So that was kind of like we put in a show. I think I have a skill to make you think that I'm doing more than what I'm doing,
There you go.
which is not a bad thing. But no, it took a lot of preparation to kind of like create that type of service, and I learned a lot working there. That's for sure.
And it was theater. I mean, you're there to be entertained, and the food could have been shit, and like you still would have like walked out like thrilled. But you got like this really, really great experience. And then there was also, Cruz, I think you would agree, there was a camaraderie
Oh, yeah.
that existed between you and those who you were serving.
Yep.
But also because the place was so
People,
small. Everybody was talking to everybody. It didn't
Yep.
matter, like, everybody like, oh, here, try some of this, or you should really order this. It's unbelievable.
That and that is some of my favorite memories when it comes to food is, my first experience in dining on a setting like this, which it wasn't the same setting that we had at Rella, but it was in New York City, and I went down there to stage to like try to find and get a better job in the city. And
You might want to define stage.
a stage is when you go to a restaurant and basically it's like an interview.
Okay.
So it's like an interview for a restaurant. It's a working interview. In this industry, we normally don't care much about resume. We just care about your skills and like what you're capable of, and we want to see you do it instead of like you telling us. So I was down there for a stage, and I ate at this restaurant, Lupa, who's been in the city for a long time, and it's a small Italian restaurant, but they had a communal table for walk-ins.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So yeah, so you sat with strangers, and I remember, this is like the restaurant that I was staging at, which was Del Posto. It was sister's restaurant of the restaurant that I was trying to get a job at. So when I went in there, they hooked it up for me. The chef called in. It's like, I have this kid. He did the whole thing. So they sent us out so much free food that it was just me and a friend, and it was just the two of us dining, and we were like, we can't eat all of this. All of a sudden, we're sharing food with somebody who doesn't even speak the same language. Like,
yeah.
we're
Great,
over
yeah.
here. And that was one of those memories that, like, made me create, not made me create, but it was the idea of, like, behind Rella. And it was the idea of the project that I have been working on for too long, I feel like, at this point, which is Shell. And that started the same way. We created a communal table, and everybody kind of like came together. You sat right next to strangers and had a dinner.
Well, let's get into Shell in a minute. Let's bring it back.
Yeah.
Let's start from the beginning. What originally brought you to Rochester?
Can I bring it back even further?
For sure.
Because I think some of this is so interesting. Like,
Yeah.
go back to like Del Posto.
Yep.
I mean, so Cruz is very, very modest about some of this stuff, but Del Posto, during its reign, was one of when I say 5 best Italian restaurants, that's high praise, because there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of great Italian restaurants in New York City. But so bring us back to Del Posto and how you got the job there and what you were doing. I mean, like, this is amazing stuff.
Yeah. So my way to Del Posto, I was already in Rochester at that time, but there is a local guy, Russell Ferguson. He works for Wegmans.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
And he's one of their like store chefs, like for like multiple stores or whatnot. But I started reading books when I was like in my early 20s, and I found out about Del Posto through these books. And it was considered at the time the best Italian restaurant, not just New York, I feel like in the country.
Wait, was it Bastianich?
It was a Bastianich,
Okay.
Mario Batali, it was B&B company the time that I worked there. So, yeah, I mean, I found out about this restaurant and I instantly became obsessive with it because, Italian food being my passion was like, I wanted to learn more about it. And at one point I even wanted to go, move to Italy. And I was working at that time for Mark Cupulo. And when I brought it up to him, and I was like, hey, Mark, thinking about moving to Italy, continue pursuing my passion for Italian food. And he was like, you're too good of a cook. You should go to a big city. I can introduce you to Russell. He was roommate with Mark Latner, who's the chef at Del Posto. And I was like, what? And that's kind of like how I got my job there. Ended up doing a stage and got hired on the spot. And then, they were really nice. And I guess my personality and talent kind of like let me through them waiting 3 months for me to like move from Rochester to the city. But yeah, as Mark said, Del Posto, to me, Del Posto is still the best restaurant I ever worked at, in terms of like the culture, the type of food that was being made at that restaurant is still very close to my heart. And I have some of the best memories of my life working there.
That's awesome.
Okay. Let's bring it back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Coming to Rochester originally, the first time.
Yeah, I moved to Rochester I was 18 years old. The original plan to move to Rochester was to continue to pursue my culinary career and extend it. And by doing that, I came here first. My mom lived here before I moved here. So this was kind of like a place where I could come in and I had,
You knew some people, you had
I had
connections.
a little living situation. I didn't speak English when I moved here, so that was something that I had to do. And I remember getting off the plane at 6 a.m. and I took a nap. I flew overnight. It was like the cheapest or whatnot. And
where were you flying from?
From Puerto Rico. Yeah, so I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. I never traveled anywhere in my life. I never was on a plane. The first time I came on a plane was when I moved here.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So, I moved here and then, within 6 months, within 3 months, I had already like scored a job. I was doing better with the language. I was able to like get around and whatnot. And, I did a little bit of time at Romano's Macaroni and Grill. I started there as a dishwasher, even though I had a little bit of experience cooking already. I didn't know much English. So I worked there for 2.5 years. Worked throughout the entire restaurant, as they say, and then from there, I ended up working at Mario's. I worked at Mario's for a few months. That wasn't so much of like my cup of tea, a restaurant to work at, and then I ended up working at Rocco,
Oh, yeah.
and I loved it there. That was more of my speed, a little bit more like homemade and
Authentic,
like,
yeah.
like a little authentic, It's really hard to define that authentic word when it comes to cuisine, because we're at the end of the day, we're chefs, we're artists. We always like to put our own spin on like food and whatnot. And from Rocco, I ended up at Del Posto. From Del Posto, I worked at Gabriel Cruther, which was a 2 Michelin star French restaurant in the city.
How was that shift from, focusing mostly on Italian to going to French?
So, that was all part of the plan, as I'm almost like, I always like to have, like, I like to think that I want to do more than one thing really well. So,
Sure.
The culture shift with working, at a French restaurant, that was the biggest thing. It was the culture. French chefs are everything you hear about them.
So The Bear is true, like the TV show? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. The French chefs are like, they're really tough. It's a little bit more like military-like. I don't know if it's that way. I know this industry has been shifting forward and like that aspect of like, the yelling and quote unquote abusing your staff, but I think that, when you are at a place like that and, and you have a mentality that wanting to get better,
Want to push yourself, right?
Yeah, you want to push yourself, and that's what these people do. I never had an interaction with any chefs that felt personal. I never had an interaction with any chef that lasted more than what it needed to last, and they continue. It was always, the yelling and all that stuff, but it was to correct what it needed to be correct. And
Sure.
I guess I don't agree on it being the best way, but I also, it worked for me.
Yeah.
So.
Did you have a hard time? Italian cooking is far more forgiving
Yeah.
than French. I mean,
Yeah.
your eggs need to be at a particular French cooking. Eggs need to be at a particular temperature. You need to beat it, until it's a
Yep.
perfect a consistency of froth, et cetera, et cetera. Italian is far more forgiving. So talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think I had a hard time on the shift again, and I think it was more of my mentality. But as you're saying, they are two completely different cuisines, and I think the more forgiven part of it was that Italian food is a little bit more simplistic and more ingredient forward, when like French food is a little bit more like complicated and more technique based.
Yeah.
And a lot of French food gets crossed over with other cuisines while still maintaining that French integrity of like what a dish should be. But that part, and I really didn't even realize, because I'm such a workhorse, I didn't realize it until I had to like talk to a stash that I was explaining one of the dishes that we served. Because, we're programmed, we're line cooks, you just turn your head down and do it, But I was explaining a dish to one of the line cooks, and I think I named like 20 ingredients that were on this appetizer,
Yeah.
And I was like, as I was like done with it, I was like, wow, I didn't even realize how many components we have to make for this dish,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that was the biggest thing. It was the difference of the cuisines was.
Okay. So time in New York City, and then you do what a lot of Rochesterians who live here now have done, and that's boomerang on back.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was always the plan. I boomerang back a little bit too early. I always tell people that, but life sometimes it's like that, and now fast forwarding 9 years later since I've been back, I think if the time was right, because that was just what life gave me at the time, and where I am now, I would love to go through everything that I went through. But yeah, I boomerang back. It was always the plan. I always wanted to go down there, learn a lot, and then come back and bring it here. I always loved Rochester from the moment that I landed here. I think it's such a great city. It's small enough that, you don't feel like you're in a big city, but it's big enough that it gives you slightly hints of like a big city.
Can you talk about just kind of the food scene in Rochester in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think from the time that I left and then, Rochester to like New York, and the time that I came back to even the time now, I think the scene in Rochester has gotten like so much better.
Yep.
I don't travel a lot, but I know for the places that I have traveled to, and some of these are like, cities that are comparable to what we are. Like, I always like, this restaurant in Rochester is better. Like, what can I compare when I'm eating at these places, And I feel like that's where we have an issue with, like, majority of people living here. They always try to compare the food here to, like, New York or Chicago. And, like, we're not the same size city.
So it's like comparing the Red Wings to the Yankees.
Exactly,
like, it's not,
exactly. You just can't. It's not fair. But I think for the most part, I mean, there is some amazing restaurants in here. And I'm happy they are here. I think that all, as a community, when we come together, we can do like a lot of great things. And, I love competition. So.
What do you think happened? I mean, would we all agree that Rochester is and has been a great city for food for decades as a result of Wegmans? Wegmans just bringing in like different types of cheeses. You go to Buffalo and like, oh, is that an Epoisse? And people are looking like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but we're just accustomed to, or Comte or something. People are accustomed to eating better food here as a result of Wegmans. So we would all agree that that is probably a foundation. But what do you think happened over the course of the past 10 years? I mean, I've got one thought as to what's played out over the past 10 years. What, from your perspective, what happened?
From my perspective, I think accessibility, and by that I mean like social media. I think that, as great as we have been with Food City for decades, I haven't been here as long as you, Mark, but basically I feel like, we went from a city that knew what it liked, and it always, if you open a restaurant, there was like a set of rules that you had to follow, to like now we are on our phones, we're scrolling, we see a dish that we might not even like thinking that we would have liked, but this dish has like, 250,000 views and a lot of likes. So now you're curious about why so many people are liking this.
Sure.
And then now when you go out, I feel like people are gotten more curious. People have gotten that, they want to explore more when it comes to food, which for people on my side, we want to explore in what we want to feed you.
And I agree with all that, but unless it's made real, unless you have the opportunity to enjoy the food that you're admiring on Instagram, it's not going to happen. So I think, from my perspective, over the course of the past 10 years, 12 years, 15, whatever, I think that Josh has done a really, really great, Josh Miles has done a great job of researching, exploring, traveling, bringing back to Rochester things that are a little bit off kilter, a little bit different, things that we wouldn't necessarily be experiencing or enjoying. And I think also it has not to do with just only with food, but I think also concept, presentation, that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, Josh, thank you for bringing him in. Josh is right here for me in terms of like people that have helped me, to get where I am, and I totally agree with you. I mean, even on his latest, like patron saint.
Right, yeah.
I mean, to me, like I've dined there. I'm not even a steakhouse person. Like I can go buy a steak, I can make it, but not only like I'm going there to get a steak and everything, but it's the whole experience. When you go to I want to be in that restaurant.
Yeah.
Like that's how I feel about that restaurant, and from the moment I walked in, it's just such a gorgeous, well-designed restaurant. The room, it's the layout of the whole thing.
It's the details really that comes down to it. I mean, the smoked cocktail, like the little stuff like that.
And the service.
The service, yeah.
I mean, that's unreasonable hospitality.
And I think that's what he has changed the most in terms, he's worked with Jeremy, and like I think those two together are, a power duo. But I think the service aspect, how he has, come into Rochester and like pushed like, we're a hospitality group. We're here to give you, more than service. We want to make you feel like you are at home, and he thrives on that.
Agreed.
He is amazing on that.
So let's get back to you.
Yep.
So you come back to Rochester, and we'll get to the projects. I know it's been in the works for a bit as well. But you've done a lot of these pop-up events too, which is really kind of interesting. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so when I was in New York, I'm going to go a little bit back, but when I was in New York, one of my favorite chefs, Brooks Hatley, I saw him build an entire brand on pop-ups. So he has this restaurant, it's called Superiority Burger. It's super, super successful. And, the way that he started it was doing pop-ups. And, when it was like my time to do something, I always had that in the back of my head. The way the chefs and like, it's fun to do it and all that stuff, but pop-ups are just like a proof of concept.
Sure.
So
people come, then yeah.
Yeah, people come, hopefully they give you good feedback, and, hopefully when you do it again, it's kind of like you're improving on the things that you got feedback. So that was kind of like the reason of, the restaurant, doing pop-ups. We started with one side of the business, which was tasting menus. There's no tasting menu restaurant in Rochester. So I always wanted to be, when I start something, I always think of like what is not being done.
Sure, yeah.
Where there is a little gap that I can fill in this town. There's so many restaurants opening and all that stuff. So like, what theirs hasn't been done, and at that time, fine dining in Rochester was like absolutely, like now we have Patron Saint, which I would consider that restaurant like
Absolutely.
fine
Yep,
dining,
yep.
like in terms of like service, presentations of the food and all that stuff, the room where you're sitting, everything matters when it comes to that. But we started it with like a, 8-course tasting menu. We were charging $300 a head, and that was like 3 years ago. So 300 probably it's like 400 now,
Sure, yeah.
based on the inflation and everything you guys talked about at the beginning. But that's kind of like how we started. And last year we focused entirely on doing a la carte pop-ups, because the restaurant is going to have a menu and all that stuff. And we did that like 6-7 times, I think, to 3-4 different locations, and it's like opening a restaurant on a weekend and then closing it.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Get a lot of reps in, right?
Oh yeah, I have a lot of reps. Yeah.
Cruz, talk to me. Patron Saint is, again, fine dining, fine service, et cetera, et cetera. But there's such a change in terms of what's going on with dining as a result of GLP-1s. So you got Ozempic, Wegovy, Zepbound, all these. So people are eating less and drinking less. So you talk about Patron Saint, you talk about your prefix menus. Do you think that is having any impact here on what's playing out in terms of dining, or do you think it's something that is down the road, around the corner?
I mean, I don't think that stuff has affected us, if that's like the
Okay.
question. I don't think it's ever going to affect us.
Leftover bags, Mark.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I guess if people are on it and I don't know about it, in terms of people around me, I guess I do know one person that's on it.
I've been I've been on
Yeah.
Zepbound for the past year and a half, almost 2 years. Dropped 32 pounds, but like my desire to go out and eat like an 8-course meal, it doesn't exist any longer. And I can barely knock back a glass of wine at this point in time, let alone the 3 that I was accustomed to. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
you've seen me eat.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. And then again, and that's why, I'm doing the restaurant where like, you could order a la carte, and then you can also order a tasting menu if you like,
What a great segue.
Yeah, let's talk about Shell.
Yeah. So, the brand started about 3 years ago at the Reverie, Josh Miles'
yep.
restaurant. I was doing brunch. He was smoking cigars outside in the patio with some friends, and I had this idea brewing in my head for a long time. And I was like, hey, Josh, would it be cool if I do a dinner in the basement and, this is what I want to do? And he's like, do it up. And I remember sitting down in the office. I wrote half of the menu. The next morning I woke up, went for my run, came back home, sat on my phone and wrote the other half of the menu. Because, sometimes I get mental blocks and like my creativity is like completely gone.
Sure, yeah.
And I don't force it. I just walk away.
You go for a run.
I go for a run.
Yeah.
I do anything, and if it comes back, it comes back, and not when it comes back,
Yep.
There's sometimes when there's been longer periods when like my head it's not moving. But yeah, I mean, we did that dinner, and then after that, I think we did a collaboration with Jeremy. And as expensive as I thought that these dinners were, my question always was like, when people are going to stop showing up.
Right.
When I'm not going to sell out these dinners. And that never happened.
It's the experience too. It's not
Yep.
just, just the food. It's everything.
It was like everything, yeah. So that never happened. And then at that time, I wanted to move to a larger city, continue to kind of like improving in my culinary career. Nothing to do with like Rochester. Again, I love Rochester. I just was like looking for more. And after doing a few pop-ups, I was like, I'm actually going to stay here. I don't think financially it makes sense for me to try to go and build a business somewhere else. It's already there here. So yeah, I mean, I started looking for real estate. That was very difficult. I think I saw a lot of places that just didn't click. And when I found a place that I loved and clicked and everything, it was really tough negotiating with the landlord, which even though I agree, it was poor negotiation on our end. And I think it was because he noticed that we wanted the space so bad that he kind of like got gritty on us. And ended up agreeing to pay him more rent than what he originally wanted, and doing more things for the building that we wanted to do originally. And 5 weeks later, he did not want to pay the real estate agent fees. And, the real estate agent person that I was working with, which was Tim Tompkins, he was like, Cruz, like, I'm doing this for you. I want you to be successful. I can eat the costs. It wasn't that much money. And he was like, it's not going to affect me, but as a friend that we are, like, as a relationship that we have, like, I will not go in business with somebody that is trying to avoid this much, because that's just not a good quality of a person as a landlord.
Red flag from the beginning.
It was like many of them.
Yeah.
That was the last one, and he was like, I know you really want this spot, but so I ended up backing out, and it was very, it was just like crushing, like I got not motivated. I'm like, I'm never gonna open this place. But then Tim had a little space in one of his buildings, and a couple days later, I called my running coach, because the space was completely it was a garage.
Okay.
So it was not like this place. This place had like a few bones and structure a little bit. This is a garage, so I didn't have the vision, on being a restaurant here. And when my running coach walked in, he's an architect. He walked in and he looked at the building and he was like, "This is your space." And I'm like, "Really?" He's like, I'm like, "This is a garage, but I guess I don't have the same eyes."
I can attest. I've had clients who are architects, and when they walk into a building, they're what they see is different than the rest of us. Yeah.
ADW.
Yeah.
Yep.
ADW was 4 cinder block walls with ice on the walls and broken pipes and water. Like, it was a disaster. But then Duffy's got a great eye, and it was able to turn into something that was really, really beautiful.
That room still. I even did a pop-up at that room. And,
yes, yeah.
And
yeah.
I think that more than any other places, not to take down away from, and I don't know, they didn't change much from what you
They
guys.
sold off a lot of the furniture.
The furniture.
Yeah, they sold
the
off.
room
Yeah,
now
yeah.
is like really nice too, but your room was like really nice. That was probably my favorite room to do a pop-up.
Yeah, it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
I'm not as nice as my room now, but yeah, I mean and then we started doing the build out, or we started going about it, and that's when I realized that it was going to take much more money than I had. So it was Tim's building at the time. And I sat down with him, and I'm like, "Hey, Tim, I don't know where I'm going to come up with all this money. I'm going to be honest with you, And before anything, he was like, "Well, we talk business," and we ended up going partners on the building and on the business. And he's been really helpful, and I've learned a lot from Tim. Tim's been around. He's done many restaurant build-outs and whatnot, and we've had our challenges as anybody with having a partner, I think. But I think for the most part, me and him worked really, really well together.
I mean, you have to make a new entrance, right? That was one of the things that had to take place.
Yeah.
So Cruz, for those who don't know it, give us some highlights, bullets. Where is it located? What's the name of it? When do you think you're going to be opening? Tell us a little bit about the menu.
Yeah, so the restaurant's located on 50 Pleasant Street. We actually had to create that address because the way that we are in the building is in the back of the building, and the entrance will be on Pleasant.
And so this is downtown near the Liberty Pole.
Yeah, so we are right in the corner of Liberty Pole Way and Pleasant Street.
Very good.
We have plenty of parking, which is always people's try to turn down your dreams. We're like, "Oh, where am I going to park?" I'm like, "No, our entrance is in the parking lot."
There you go.
So
easy walk.
Easy walk. Yeah, we are a very small restaurant, intimate. The restaurant sits about 38 people for dinner.
Oh, wow. Okay, great.
18 at the bar.
Oh, great.
And 20 in the dining room.
Okay.
We took a lot of the things that I was doing at Rella and expanded on that, because I love that concept. I love everything that we were doing in there. So this time I will not be doing everything that I was doing back then.
Too bad.
It's too bad. But, we wanted to elevate the food. So that means that I have to be in the kitchen a little bit more. But if you sit at the bar, the kitchen is right at the bar,
Great.
similar to Rella, which is a larger kitchen now, which is really nice. Menu, very, very small. Our menu, it's 12 items on the menu. Nothing is split. It's just like a menu. Everything is organized by like the size of the dishes, though.
Oh, okay.
And then we have a little tapas bar, sits 10 people. That's kind of like our waiting area. That's something that, when I was at Rella, I think I gave all the business around me business because people will come in, we didn't take reservation. We didn't have anywhere for anybody to wait, so we'll send them down to Marshall Street or go down to Strangeberry or whatnot. And there's 4 things on the tapas menu. We have a full liquor license.
Great.
So we'll have a cocktail menu. We have a really nice selection of wines. That's my drink of choice. So I spend a lot of time making a wine list, and I'm not a sommelier or anything. I just, I've been doing this for a long time and whatnot, and I know what I like, and I know what it will pair well with the food that I'll be making. Our menu, it's a little bit all over the place in terms of like French, Italian, Mexican, and there's also a lot of like Asian inspiration in the menu now.
For 12 items, that's a lot.
That's a lot. I mean, we have a pasta. I've already started like testing things. We have a pasta that it's like, it literally tastes almost like a quesadilla. So like that's like, yeah.
A pasta that tastes like a quesadilla.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like,
I'm already in.
It's like a play on things that like, that's kind of like how I view food. It's like playful almost, this pasta is stuffed with cheese, and then we make like a corn velouté, and then we make like a tomatillo salsa verde with like pumpkin seeds, grilled corn and all that stuff. And like when you eat it, it's like you're looking at a bowl of pasta that's like beautiful and like it looks so Italian. When you put it in your mouth, you're like, wait a minute, We have, our bread served, we don't have a bread service. We're going to do a mousse. So everybody will get like a little small appetizer.
Amuse-bouche?
Okay. Yeah, but we are going to sell bread if anybody wants to buy bread and whatnot. But the whole thing on that bread was like, how can we make this bread taste like a scallion pancake? So
great.
It's like you're looking at a piece of bread, and when you eat it, it's like, oh, wow, it clicks, And that's something that I learned really young in my career from a chef. We used to make this dish. It had cinnamon, a stick on the sauce, and they'll take it out. And then plate it, and I'm like, why you always take it out, And it's like, because when you're eating the food, it's not a lot of cinnamon that you could be like, I'm eating cinnamon, but it also triggers like, what am I eating? It makes you question, it makes you wonder.
Yeah.
And it makes you...
It's just like psychologically and just from the brain. So if, think about a quote from a movie and you can't figure out what the movie is, your brain actually reacts the same as if you're experiencing pain, and you need to get the answer to that question. Like, how many times has that happened? You're like, I got to go to IMDb because I can't move past it. So like similar kind of thing. So
yeah, so that's kind of like what I like, I enjoy with like food, and like where like all my inspiration comes. It's like I try to grab traditional food and like, how can I put it into something else? Like we have oysters, and it's gonna be, we're not doing oyster service. We're just doing like oyster that's set up, and the inspiration for this oyster is like, how can I make this taste like a fennel orange salad? But it's like, it'll be in an oyster, So
really interesting.
But when do you think you're going to be opening?
We are right now aiming to open sometime in September.
Okay,
awesome.
It's after the build out we started in January of last year, which was a long time ago.
Yep.
We had some hiccups here and there and whatnot, and that's probably what's taking us so long. And but hopefully September. The place is, if I get caulking and like every single trim and all that stuff, I'm pretty sure we'll pass the health department inspection and we could open. But we're trying to do things right and like not cut any corners or anything like that.
Of course,
But yeah, hopefully September.
I honestly, I started this whole thing off by saying that you literally are one of the best chefs I've ever encountered. We're so privileged to have you here in Rochester, just making our meals and our lives better. And I'm so excited. I've known Tim. Do you know how long I've known Tim?
Probably a long time.
40 years.
40 years.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's older than I am.
And I loved him. Loved him. And the two of you are going to do incredibly well.
Yep.
Congratulations in
Thank you.
advance. And we just can't wait for the opening. So.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the continuous support that you've given me as a person alone, not just like the business and all that stuff. I feel like every time, we're hosting dinner, you always hire me. I had a pop-up. It's like, I can't make it, but I'm going to go pick up some food because I'm actually hosting people at the house. So thank you for that.
So great, Cruz, honestly. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Rochester news, want to jump in?
Dive in. And you're going to help us out here, okay?
Okay,
sure.
yeah.
I mean,
I'll jump in.
I mean,
All right.
I think this one you can definitely, chat about because you're bringing this restaurant into downtown Rochester, similar to Patron Saint, and we've been trying to build up downtown for a long time. There's a little bit of drama though. Mark, have you followed?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Axes and Ales.
Oh, that's
Have you
right.
followed this
Yeah,
at all?
yeah.
The bar on East Ave.
Yeah.
So they announced that they are closing after I think it was 6.5 years that they were
wow.
there, and they more or less are putting it on the city, and the things that were put in place, the special event zone. Do you know about
Yes,
this too?
yes, I do, yeah,
On
yeah.
Saturday nights.
Yep.
So basically, the owner of this place said it was like a militant quite state, and that was, driving people away. Care to expand on that? Thoughts? I mean, he did say that they had grown, I think, 3 years in a row, and then that goes into play, and then they immediately had a 40% drop in.
Listen, I am very, very hard on the mayor, and I don't like a lot of what. This is one area where I actually think the mayor's gotten it right.
Support?
So I really do. I think the mayor's gotten this right because the owner of this establishment, I mean, choose your poison, bud. I mean, either there are guns going off and all of the 21-year-olds are fleeing downtown Rochester and making their way into Fairport, or you're going to impose some level of sanity by having police come in and patrol on a Saturday night. I'm all for the latter. He and I have a difference of opinion, but in this case, I'm very, very supportive of the mayor.
Are you saying the mayor's a scapegoat in this situation?
Yes, I think this guy's I think he's off base. So yeah,
There we go.
Maybe
All
we should have him on.
I mean, again, proof of concept. Patron Saint's doing pretty well. We've got a feeling Shell's going to do pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I have some friends that have businesses on there, and, they are currently struggling. And, in a conversation that I had with one of them recently, it was the same thing, But I think that, what, makes you a successful business owner is to learn to evolve and deal with the things that are presented to you, There's a lot of things that I want to do for the restaurant that I dream of, and but at the same time now I'm not only a chef, I'm also a business owner.
Sure.
So it's as a business you have to learn how to evolve.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, that coffee spot right next to them, it's doing amazing.
Oh, there you go.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's packed from the moment they open to there's just because of the concept of the place, it's
Right. Yeah.
So if you have a business, I think you can't blame it on people, the city, or anybody. It's more about learning to evolve.
Got it. Pop culture, Mark? Did you watch Hard Knocks?
I did not watch episode 2. I'm watching the Netflix series Quarterback.
Oh, okay.
So we're almost through that.
Getting your football.
Yeah, absolutely. But how's this? James Cook finally signed his contract.
There were breaking
Extended.
news.
Breaking news. Isn't that good news, right?
Well, what was it? So the preseason game, I guess he chatted with McDermott, and he said he was going to warm up but not play. And then, of course, the media tried to make a big deal about it. But,
Yeah, right, yeah.
Obviously came to terms. So.
He suited up, et cetera. So speaking of McDermott, unfortunately I was overseas, but during Bill's camp, McDermott is at Breathe Yoga in Pittsford. Practicing, I guess, almost every single morning.
Really?
And yeah, my
High-stress job.
My
Makes sense.
friends over there were saying that this 51-year-old guy is just ripped. So and a decent yogi.
Too funny. What do you think of Quarterback?
I love Quarterback. Are you watching it?
I have not watched the
Are
preseason
you
yet.
watching it?
No.
All right, so you got Kirk Cousins, you got
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, and you've got Jared Goff.
I watched the first, I think, couple episodes.
Yeah. No, you weren't compelled to continue watching?
I think I got distracted.
Okay.
I'll go back to it.
Or Courtney, like, no,
we had to watch The
season
Hunting
16
Wives
of,
instead, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Hunting Wives, yeah. Or season 16 of White Lotus.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
What about you, Cruz? What are you watching? Do you have time?
I don't watch
Yeah.
a lot of TV. I think that right now I'm watching the last season of Black Mirror.
Oh, okay, yep.
Before that, I went. My girlfriend put me into Hannibal, which is an old show. It's like 10 years old, and
Yeah.
I thought the first 2 seasons of that show were amazing, and then the last one I couldn't care for. But
Yeah, I feel like sometimes those shows catch fire and then they just kind of fizzle out, unfortunately.
yeah,
Right.
I catch on TV like after, like I'm tired of hearing people talk about it, and then I'm like, maybe I should actually watch it. You know?
All right, fair.
what about you? What are you watching? What are you listening to?
So again, intermittently watched The Hunting Wives, because I would fall asleep and my wife would just keep cruising on through. So it seemed like it was a great show. And then Hard Knocks. I thought it was, I don't know, I liked the episode. It's always cool to see Rochester on that platform. And again, I think we were presented in such a great light. You know,
Good.
if you're looking for
That's great.
a positive thing there. I haven't watched. I think the second episode comes out today, actually. So
Last night, 9
Is it
o'clock.
last night? Okay.
Yeah. So I saw the first episode. I'm hoping that episode 2, and I think you were saying last week that as the season progresses, it becomes a little bit more compelling.
Yeah, they're filling it out.
Yeah. So episode 1, okay, great, but yeah,
All right. Well, there we go. Anything else to touch on?
nothing at
Good.
the moment.
Awesome.
No. It was great having you, bud.
Thank you
Really,
for having
really
me, guys.
terrific,
I
yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you again next week.